Chosen one. The original plan did not account for the person you became when the plan fell apart. That is the part almost nobody understands. You thought you were waiting for God to restore the map. But while you were waiting, you changed. You learned how to carry what the old version of you could not carry, and you made choices your past could never have predicted. Something ended, something opened. For a while, you could not tell which one mattered more. You looked at the closed door and called it loss. You looked at the empty space and called it delay. But beneath the confusion, another truth was forming. The old plan was not simply failing. It was becoming too small for the person standing inside it. Think about who you were when you first made that plan. You feared different things. You tolerated different patterns. And because you were different, the future you imagined was built around needs that may no longer control you now. This is why going backward feels strange. The old road is familiar, but it no longer feels peaceful. The old relationship may still be available, but something in you has stopped shrinking to fit it. The old career path may still look sensible, yet your spirit no longer responds to it the same way. You are not only losing options, you are gaining discernment. And that is where the tension begins. Your life may already be changing faster than your inner map can update. You can make a brave decision on Monday, then wake up on Tuesday and wonder if you destroyed everything. You can feel clear in prayer, then become foggy the moment action is required. That contradiction does not automatically mean you made the wrong move. Sometimes confusion is simply the lag between a changed life and an unchanged internal map. Your circumstances have moved, your identity has moved, but your mind is still opening an old file and asking it for instructions. That is why you keep replaying conversations that are already finished. That is why you ask people who knew the old you to explain the new you. A changed route is not automatic proof that you missed God. A closed door is not automatic proof that you failed. And an empty page is not automatic proof that heaven went silent. Sometimes, the empty page appears because the next chapter cannot be copied from the one before it. There are three things you need to see. First, why a broken blueprint can appear after real growth. Second, why you may still be waiting for permission you no longer need. Third, why a spiritually clear person can still struggle to turn clarity into movement. The last one is the hidden gap most people never name. But notice what has already happened. You are still here. You are still trying to move with integrity. That matters. The story did not end when the plan broke. The person who survived the break became part of the new answer. If this describes your season, write, "The old map is done below," as a line in the ground. Because the first breakthrough is not finding the new map. It is admitting that the old one no longer has the final word. And now one question has to be answered. What changed first, your destiny or the mind that was trying to interpret it? The hardest part of a broken plan is not the loss itself. It is the story you attach to the loss. You see the relationship end, the opportunity disappear, the timeline shift, and your mind reaches for the fastest explanation. I failed. I missed the sign. I stepped outside what God had for me. That explanation feels responsible, but sometimes it is simply familiar. Chosen one, there is a difference between responsibility and self-accusation. Responsibility asks what can be learned. Self-accusation decides the whole story before the evidence is complete. When life stops matching your expectations, fear wants a verdict immediately. It would rather call you wrong than admit the future has become uncertain. This is where the broken blueprint begins to matter. A blueprint gives shape to possibility. It helps you prepare, but a blueprint can become a cage when you confuse the plan with the purpose. The plan is a route. The purpose is deeper. The route can change without the deeper purpose disappearing. Think about the version of you who first drew that route. Maybe you needed approval then. Maybe you thought success had to arrive through one job, one person, one exact sequence. Those beliefs shaped the map. Then life trained you. And now you are reading an old blueprint with new eyes. The person who wrote them did the best they could with the awareness they had, but you have seen too much to pretend you are still standing in the same place. This is where many sincere people become trapped. They confuse predictability with faithfulness. If they cannot see the next 5 steps, they assume they should not take the first one. But faith has never required complete visibility before movement. Abraham was asked to leave before he had the full map. Joseph carried a dream through events that looked nothing like the dream. They remind us that a faithful life can include seasons where the route becomes clear only after movement begins. Discernment is not the same as certainty. Discernment asks better questions. Does this choice violate what I know is right? Does reality support what I am sensing? Am I willing to own the consequences if I move? Those questions protect you from impulse. This is the first breakthrough. The old plan may have completed its work by forming someone who no longer needs the same plan. But it also gives you back responsibility. You do not have to keep resurrecting a future that requires you to become smaller again. Maybe the old plan taught you endurance and boundaries. None of that means every loss was good. It means loss can still produce information you are allowed to use. So stop asking only, how do I get back to what I expected? Ask a better question. What has this season made me capable of seeing that I could not see before? That question moves you from nostalgia into discernment. This is the broken blueprint. The map stopped matching the person carrying it. If you are ready to release that measurement, write, I release the old map below. You are not rejecting what the old season taught you. You are releasing its authority to define every road that can come next. But there is a deeper problem. Even after you accept that the old map is finished, a strange hesitation can remain. You know what you want to do, yet some part of you still waits for someone else to say it is allowed. Why? That hesitation has a pattern. You feel it when you ask 3 people the same question, even though you already know the answer. You feel it when you write the email, reread it 6 times, and leave it in drafts. You feel it when one clear decision turns into another week of searching. Most people call this indecision. Sometimes they say they are waiting for peace. But there is another possibility. The decision may already be forming. What is missing is permission. And the person you are waiting to receive that permission from may belong to a version of your life that no longer exists. This is the permission lag. Reality changes first. Identity begins to change next. But the inner authority structure can remain frozen in the past. You still imagine the reaction of people who doubted you. You still measure yourself against people who only knew how to affirm the old version. So you keep returning to old gatekeepers. You ask them to approve a future they were never designed to understand. This does not mean every instinct is sacred. Discernment needs evidence. But discernment also knows when more information has stopped creating clarity and started creating avoidance. Here is a simple test. Take one decision that is not urgent. Write 3 sentences. What do I know? What am I assuming? What am I afraid of? Then leave it alone for 1 full day. Come back when the emotional noise is lower, and read what you wrote again. Clarity often hides inside what you already know, and permission often hides inside the sentence you are afraid to act on because action would make the change real. Imagine waking up tomorrow without polling everyone before a choice. Imagine knowing what matters, checking it against your values, and moving without a courtroom in your head. The decision would finally belong to the person who has to live with it. You may think, I have heard messages about new seasons before. Then do not accept this because it sounds spiritual. Test it against your behavior. Are you gathering useful evidence, or are you collecting permission? Are you seeking wisdom, or are you postponing responsibility? And if you discover that you are postponing responsibility, Do not shame yourself. The old permission system probably protected you once, but protection can become limitation when the environment changes and the rule never updates. Your chest tightens, your jaw locks, your mind searches for one more reason to wait. Not because the new direction is automatically wrong, but because acting without old approval can feel like danger, even when the present reality is safe. The goal is not to stop asking for advice. The goal is to know the difference between counsel and surrender. Counsel gives you information. Surrender gives away authorship. So say this quietly if it is true. I do not need another sign to repeat what I already know. I need the courage to take responsibility for what has become clear. That brings us to the next problem. Even after permission returns to you, movement can still feel strangely difficult. You can know the answer. You can believe the answer. Yet the moment you sit down to act, your focus scatters and your mind becomes heavy. Why does knowing still fail to become movement? Chosen one. There is another kind of delay that has nothing to do with permission. You can know what to do and still struggle to do it. You can feel clear in prayer, then sit down to act and suddenly lose focus. You can open the document and feel a heaviness that was not there 5 minutes earlier. This is where people become cruel to themselves. They call it laziness. They call it weakness. They say their faith is not strong enough. But knowing and using what you know are not the same thing. A clear conviction can live inside a tired mind, and a true direction can still be hard to execute when attention is fragmented. Notice what happens in your body when you think about the decision you have delayed. Do not fix it yet. Just notice. Is your jaw tight? Are your shoulders raised? Is there pressure behind your eyes? Does your chest feel heavy? Your body often registers strain before your mind gives it a name. This is why spiritual clarity does not automatically become practical movement. The signal can be clear while the receiver is overloaded. The message can be true while the system carrying it is exhausted. If you confuse those two things, you may spend months questioning your calling when the deeper problem is too much mental noise. I call this the receiver gap. It is the space between what you know and what you can consistently use. You have insight, but no traction. You have desire, but your attention keeps breaking apart. You have ideas, but execution feels heavier than inspiration. That gap can show up in small ways. You scroll without effort, but important work makes you sleepy. You remember random details, but lose a word in the middle of a sentence. You make a decision, then reopen it 10 minutes later because your mind does not trust its own clarity. None of that proves you missed God. It means you need to stop using shame as a diagnosis. Shame tells you to push harder. Discernment asks what condition the receiver is in before demanding more output. For now, do something simple. Remove one source of noise today. Name one decision that matters. Give that decision one uninterrupted window where no one else gets access to your attention. You are not solving your whole life. You are testing what becomes possible when the receiver has less interference. And this is where something unexpected enters the picture. Researchers have spent decades studying how different regions of the brain coordinate during focus, creativity, and complex thought. That work opens a question that matters deeply here. What if the signal was never the part that failed? What if some of the fog you blamed on age, weakness, or lack of discipline is connected to how efficiently your brain is coordinating what it already has? Hold that question. We are coming back to it. The answer is not another command to try harder. It is a different way of understanding why clarity can be present while movement still feels out of reach. If this touches something real in you, write, "I am ready to receive" below. Not because a comment changes your life, because naming readiness changes the way you meet what comes next. You release the old map. You started taking back permission. Now we have to understand what happens when the mind itself becomes the narrow place between insight and action. The receiver gap becomes dangerous when you keep treating it like a moral failure. You feel foggy, so you push harder. You lose focus, so you add pressure. You become overwhelmed, so you consume more advice. Soon your mind is crowded with so much input that even good guidance starts to feel like noise. There is a cleaner response. First, reduce one noise source. Second, name one decision. Third, create one protected window for action. I call this the 3-channel reset. It is simple on purpose, because a tired mind does not need another complicated system. The first channel is noise. Choose one thing that fragments your attention. It could be constant notifications, background media, 5 open conversations, or checking for reassurance every few minutes. Remove only one source. You are not proving discipline. You are creating space. The second channel is decision. Write down the one choice that matters most today, not 10 choices. 1. If your mind opens 5 more questions, bring it back. A scattered mind creates false urgency by making everything feel equally important. The third channel is execution. Give the decision a clean window. 20 minutes is enough to test the principle. No checking, no polling, no searching for another sign. Use the time to take one visible step that exists outside your head. This does not solve every form of mental fatigue. It gives you evidence first. You begin to see whether the fog changes when the receiver has less interference. Maybe nothing is wrong with your calling. Maybe the message has been clear for longer than you realized, and the real issue is that your mind has been trying to process it inside an environment that never stops interrupting you. Earlier, I asked you to hold one question. What if the signal was never the part that failed? Researchers have spent decades studying how separate regions of the brain coordinate and integrate information. One famous line of research came from Doctor Roger Sperry and split brain work that later received the Nobel Prize. That research did not prove a spiritual promise. It helped show how much the brain depends on coordination between specialized systems. When systems work together well, thinking can feel very different from moments when attention is fragmented. This matters because you have been blaming the message. You have been asking whether you heard wrong. But what if the better question is whether the receiver has enough coordination, rest, and clarity to use what it already knows? Here is the missing piece. Insight can be real and still remain unused. Conviction can be true and still fail to become behavior. The gap does not always need more inspiration. Sometimes it needs a better condition for integration. That is why the next part matters. There is neuroscience-based work that tries to support this kind of coordination, and I waited until now to mention it for a reason. A solution only makes sense after you understand the problem it is meant to address. You understand the shape now. The old blueprint is gone. The permission lag is breaking. The signal may already be clear. What remains is the condition of the receiver. Why can a person see the new road and still behave as though the old road owns them? Because clarity and usable capacity are not the same thing. The next step is not about believing harder. It is about understanding what support for that capacity can actually look like. This is the point where everything becomes practical. The old map lost authority because you changed. The permission lag kept you looking backward after reality had moved forward. And the receiver gap explained why insight could be present, while action still felt harder than it should. Here is the plain truth. You do not need another dramatic message to tell you your life is changing. You need a mind clear enough to recognize what is already in front of you, and steady enough to act without reopening the same decision every hour. That is the why. The what is simple. Spiritual discernment matters, and so does cognitive clarity. One does not replace the other. Supporting the condition in which you make a decision is part of taking responsibility for that decision. And who does that make you? Not a passive receiver waiting for life to happen. It makes you a participant. Someone who listens, tests, chooses, and then moves. The clarity you received is real, but clarity that never becomes usable is still unfinished. Earlier, I mentioned research that changed how scientists understood coordination inside the brain. Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize in 1981 for work involving split brain research. His work helped show that the two hemispheres have specialized functions and that coordination between them matters. The creators of a program I am about to describe built their approach around supporting stronger coordination. They describe this as whole brain activation, and they call their auditory approach neural sync technology. Before I name it, consider two reports. A woman from California had tried prayer, journaling, and meditation, but still felt mentally foggy. After using the program, she reported feeling clearer, as if something blocked had opened. A man from Texas carried a business, a family, and constant responsibility while feeling like his mind was working through fog. After using the same approach, he reported sharper thinking and easier decisions. These are personal reports, not guarantees. The program is called the Genius Switch. It is an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence developed by a team led by Dr. Daniel Barone in New York. Headphones, eyes closed, 8 minutes a day. According to the product presentation, the sequence is designed to support hemisphere synchronization rather than function as a generic meditation track. Its stated goal is to support more coordinated whole brain activity. This is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who understands that clarity deserves practical support as much as spiritual intention. It is for the person who has reflected deeply and is ready to stop treating fog like a character flaw. The offer presentation says colleagues once described the value as being around $500. The listed price is $49. On the current offer page, the price shown is $39. 4 bonuses are included: a guided visualization, a grocery shopping guide, a classic book connected to manifestation history, and a printable habits infographic. The purchase also includes lifetime access and a money-back guarantee described by the seller as unconditional. The product team says similar sounding tracks may appear elsewhere, but may not use the same protocol. If you want to read about the Genius Switch, use the link in the description or pinned comment and review the official presentation yourself. Do not buy it because you feel pressured. Do not buy it because someone told you your future depends on it. If the idea fits what you have been experiencing, read the details and decide with a clear mind. A tool does not replace God. A tool does not replace obedience. It does not make the decision for you. It can only support the condition in which you make that decision. And that brings us back to the deeper current. The new plan is not asking you to depend on another tool. It is asking you to become more available for the life you already know you are meant to meet. The old plan is gone. The receiver is becoming clearer. What will you do when there is no old precedent left to follow? And this is where the message becomes bigger than clarity. A clear mind can help you see the road, but eventually you still have to walk where no old map can lead you. That is the part many people avoid. They want certainty before movement. They want precedent before courage. Chosen one, there may be no precedent for what you are trying to do. No one in your family may have handled money this way. No one around you may have built this kind of work. No one may have set this boundary without destroying every relationship around it. So when you look behind you for proof, you find silence. That silence can feel like a warning. But absence of precedent is not evidence of error. Sometimes it only means nobody before you had the same combination of awareness, opportunity, pain, and responsibility that you carry now. This is the blank map advantage. When no model fits perfectly, you are forced to stop copying and start discerning. You have to ask what remains true even when the route changes. Integrity remains true. Responsibility remains true. Love remains true. Wisdom remains true. The values stay. even when the method has to evolve. Think of Joseph. His path did not resemble a clean progression toward the dream he carried. Betrayal, confinement, and responsibility appeared before influence did. The lesson is not that every hardship guarantees promotion. The lesson is that purpose can survive a route that does not resemble your original expectation. That matters for you now. You may be standing in a place where no one can hand you an exact sequence. They can offer counsel, they can offer experience, but they cannot live your responsibility for you. This is where the old version of you would keep searching. One more opinion, one more confirmation, one more person who says yes. But the person emerging now has to become capable of acting with enough evidence without demanding perfect certainty. If that is the shift you are ready to make, right, I stop asking the past below. Not because the past has nothing to teach you, because the past is a teacher, not a ruler. And for the chosen one who felt something stir when we spoke about supporting mental clarity earlier, the resource described before is still available through the description and pinned comment. Read the details for yourself and decide only if it genuinely fits what you need. Then return to the deeper question. What happens when you stop asking the past for permission? You become responsible for creating evidence in the present. That is why your next step matters more than it appears. A boundary kept today can become proof for someone younger than you. A clear decision can show your family another way. A project completed can become the first visible example that a different future is possible. You are not only choosing a road, you may be creating precedent. And once you understand that, the empty page stops looking like abandonment. It starts looking like responsibility. The question is no longer, who went before me? The question becomes, who may walk more freely because I was willing to go first? That question changes the meaning of everything you survived. If your response becomes evidence for someone behind you, then your breakthrough is no longer only personal. The way you choose, recover, speak, and build can become a visible option where no option seemed to exist before. Maybe a child is watching how you handle pressure. Maybe a younger sibling is watching you set a boundary without becoming cruel. Maybe someone on your team is learning that leadership can be calm. Maybe a friend is seeing that a person can recover without turning bitter. You may never know every person who studies your response, but that does not make the effect unreal. Human beings learn from what they repeatedly witness. When one person behaves differently inside an old pattern, everyone around that pattern receives new information. This is why I want to give you a more specific name. You are not only someone who survived the broken blueprint, you are becoming the precedent maker. A precedent maker is someone whose responsible response creates an option that did not visibly exist before. Notice the word responsible. This is not rebellion for the sake of being different. It is not rejecting wisdom because you want to feel special. A new path deserves the same testing as any old one. Does it preserve integrity? Does it respect reality? Can you own the consequences? If yes, then difference does not automatically mean danger. The old map can still teach you without controlling you. Keep the values that made it useful. Keep discipline. Keep compassion. Keep humility. Release only the belief that faithfulness requires exact repetition. Your responsibility is not to imitate the map. Your responsibility is to preserve what was true in it, while allowing the route to change. Now close your eyes if it is safe to do so. Let your shoulders soften. Take one slow breath. Imagine the old blueprint resting on a table in front of you. Do not tear it. Do not burn it. Just look at it. See every season written across that page. The plans that worked, the plans that failed, the people who stayed, the people who left. Let the page represent what brought you here, not what must control where you go next. Now imagine placing one hand gently over your chest. Breathe out. In your mind, thank the old map for what it taught you. Then place a blank page beside it. You do not need to fill that page tonight. You do not need to know the next 10 years. You only need enough clarity for the next responsible line. Feel the difference. The old page is history. The blank page is possibility. Neither one has to frighten you. This is what authorship feels like before it becomes comfortable. It feels quiet. It feels exposed. There is no applause built into it. But there is also no need to keep pretending that a smaller life still fits. Chosen one, someone behind you may one day stand at a door that terrified you. They may step through it more calmly because your life showed them the door could open. That is legacy in its simplest form, not fame, not attention, evidence. And before this message ends, there is one declaration you need to make without asking anyone from your past to agree with it. You have carried the old blueprint far enough. Now you have to decide who gets the final word over the blank page. Chosen one, look back for a moment, not to return, just to recognize the distance. There was a version of you who believed the old plan had to work exactly as imagined, or everything would mean failure. Honor what it survived. Honor what it learned. Honor the doors it kept knocking on because it did not yet know another entrance existed. You do not have to despise an old identity in order to outgrow it. Now release the need for old permission. Release the shame attached to a changed plan. Release the demand to know every step before you take the next one. You are allowed to move with wisdom before certainty arrives. The truth is simple. You did not become lost simply because the old future stopped fitting. Your life changed, your awareness changed, and your mind is learning to catch up with the courage that already moved. So let this be the line you carry forward. I do not need the old map to validate the new road. I carry what the old season taught me. I choose clarity over repetition. I accept responsibility for what I already know. I test what I sense with wisdom. I move without demanding perfect certainty. I refuse to make fear sound holy just because fear knows how to wait. I release the belief that familiar means safe. I release the belief that different means wrong. I release the belief that every closed door is punishment. I can honor the past without rebuilding my future inside it. I am willing to become precedent. I am willing to be the first person in my family to respond differently. I am willing to create evidence that integrity and courage can live in the same decision. I do not need everyone to understand the road before I walk it. I do not need applause to know that growth happened. I do not need an old version of myself to approve what the new version can now carry. And I will not return to a smaller version of myself simply because that version is easier for other people to recognize. I will remain teachable. I will remain grounded. But I will not confuse humility with disappearing. God, give me wisdom for what I cannot see. Give me courage for what I already know. Give me patience where waiting is right, and discernment where waiting has become avoidance. Help me carry the lessons without carrying the chains. Help me recognize what deserves to remain and what has completed its purpose. Let clarity become action, and let action remain aligned with what is good. Chosen one, the blank page in front of you is not a command to control the future. It is an invitation to meet the future awake, one decision at a time, one honest step at a time. You did not need the original plan to survive forever. You needed what the plan was forming inside you. And now, that formation has to become movement. If you are ready to seal this, write, "I am the precedent below." Say it without arrogance. Say it as responsibility. Someone may one day walk with greater courage because you refuse to repeat what no longer deserved to continue. The old map can rest now. The lesson remains. The next step is yours. It is sealed. Amen.